Hey everybody, it's me, Nick Runner from World We Live In. I have something to talk about. When I was in high school, I used to like rap music a lot. Boom, 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 you know? And I think one of the things about rap that's I liked was the music. And something I like about music now is also the music. So that's interesting. I think when I was really into rap, though, I think I gotta say my favorite rapper was probably like Notorious B.I.G. and Puff Daddy. Probably Big Daddy Kane and Gang Starr and DJ Premier and Guru. Probably like the Poor Righteous Teachers and X-Clan and Tribe Called Quest, especially Phife Dawg and Q-Tip and sort of the jazzy stuff. Ooh, you're getting into a little bit of Pharcyde there and Fat Lip. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I also got like Public Enemy and Chuck D and Terminator X. Classic hip-hop like Gang Starr and Tribe Called Quest and Jungle Brothers and Funky 4+1, then that's pretty much all the rap you need. Also, and the Bomb Squad and Professor Griff and Flavor Flav and all that good stuff. But you also got to cut deeper. You also got to cut with a diamond precision. You could pretty much just do whatever kind of classic songs you want, including like Cannibal. That. You could also just get like LP and Mr. Lif and Cannibal Ox and Vast Air and MF Doom and MF Grimm and KMD. And Public Enemy, and hip hop. Who was that? It was Dead Prez. You got Mobb Deep. You got Public Enemy. You got all of that stuff that you just really can't even deal with right now. The Funky 4+1, Sugar Hill Gang. If you don't include Kool Moe Dee and Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One and some of the more hardcore stuff like Smith and Wesson and Black Moon and maybe even what's that other guy? Ill Stuff. Whoa, you have Freestyle Fellowship and all that like good rap stuff, including this guy right here. And also, you can just kind of do like whatever you want, including really, really good indie rap that doesn't swear like Will Smith, Desperado. And then you could also sort of get into the really, really good crunchy beats. That's right, the Wu-Tang Clan. If you don't include that stuff, then you're not going to get any good stuff. If you don't include LP or Mr. Lif or the Def Jux Crew or the indie rap like Black Star and Company Flow and Front Crusher Plus, the album from 1997, oh my God, it's so good. And if you don't include like Ice Cube and Eazy-E and all those other people, and if you don't include NWO, you know what, that's gonna be something that you really, 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 really need to get into. And all that stuff, like a really, really hardcore stuff. and also, you could just really, really, really riff on 90s rap. What am I talking about? Okay, I'll tell you. I'm talking about Lil' Kim. I'm talking about female rap. I'm talking about Missy Elliott. I'm talking about Azalea Banks. I'm talking about all that rap like Kendrick Lamar. I'm really talking about the stuff that's really, really good and really, really crunchy. But right now we're going to cut into some country songs. Cut it. I got 2 Big Macs, pile of pussy. I'm gonna be a doctor next week. Got a gay ass son, 2 damn daughters. Country singer losing his mind. I got 2 banjos, 4 broke geese. Something in the back of my mind. I don't know what hit, probably gonna spit. 'Cause I don't know what I'll find. 2 Big Macs.
Clive Blowen, and my guest tonight is Mr. Rupert Green, rather generally notorious character. He's from the Cockney lands of London, England. He's sort of a ribald fellow, notorious, well regarded for being foul-mouthed and generally foul. Now, He's our guest tonight because he is a notable figure insofar as he is so particularly despicable. Now, Mr. Green, before we get started with the interview, I would like to remind you that this is public access television. It's in the public interest, and it's a family. Please let me finish, Mr. Green. This is a family show, so if you could please keep the foul-mouthedness and the references to inappropriate deeds and doings down to a minimum, that would mean so much to the station and to myself. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll tell you what, if you have any prerequisites, you fucking twat, you better be breathing new air, you better be breathing the asphalt you land on, mate. Because it ain't worth 2 pickles in a lamb shake to be your boy, right?
I'm not well versed in your colorful.
Bloody hell! This man's a fucking cunt, and you know it.
I'm not well versed in your colorful Cockney colloquialisms.
When you get punched in the waffles, mate, you're gonna be wishing David Beckham be ruffling your curtains. All right?
I can't say I've been punched in the waffles, sir, but I would hope to avoid that in my natural life.
Is it in Big Ben where your fucking mind getting all mental in the hospital?
It's not a query, Mr. Green. It's a simple request.
You be smoking a fag with me,
on
mates.
On behalf of myself and the station. Now this goes out to televisions all over the Tri-City area.
What the fuck is this?
Children may be watching, Mr. Green.
Think that you got Posh Spice on a 2-for-1 special? What the fuck you comb your hair for like a greeny lizard?
I comb my hair in the way that my mother taught me to as a boy. Now, if we could begin the interview with...
Nobody's saying it's 2 shovels for the same point.
Now, Mr. Green, I'm not a
kick right in the goalies if you get it, stupid.
Now, I'm not an angry man, Mr. Green, but
Jesus
I would like
Christ,
to begin.
why the fuck am I doing this show? Let me tell you what.
I have prepared questions to ask you. Now, if you could begin by just telling us a little bit about yourself, we can move on with the interview in sort of a natural way and sort of craft a narrative throughout the discussion as one typically does on a television interview as per the one we're having. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'll tell you what. If you get 2 shillings to me and I'm smoking a fag on the side of the street when the asphalt's still bleeding so brilliantly and so good that you get knocked off your pisser while you getting the shame and the residual effects of trying to drink a Guinness on a fucking green loaf, then you don't know what the fuck you've been breathing.
I've been breathing air like the rest of us.
Fuck you. Yeah. Fucking cunt.
Now, I hate the moon, not just because it's ugly, though it is very ugly. No, I have a curse involving the moon, a vile, foul, fiendish curse. The moon makes me do things, it turns me into something. You probably think I'm a werewolf. You're not wrong, but only half right. Let me explain. See, it all started one night, one dark night. I decided to take a moonlit stroll, despite the moon's obvious ugliness. The moon was full. And as I was walking through the small garden path behind my house, I heard some rustling behind me. Thinking it was just some small animal, I thought little of it and continued on my way until I suddenly found myself accosted by a huge, hideous, furry, foul, lupine monster. It loomed over me and growled, and thinking it a simple werewolf, I cowered, hiding my face behind my arms to protect myself from its teeth and claws. But this was no simple werewolf. No, it didn't maul me. It didn't even hurt me, at least not in a physical sense. Instead, it loomed over me huge with fur and fangs and claws, and rather than swiping or griping or biting, it swore at me. It unleashed a foul litany of unspeakable, hideous words. C words, D words, B words, T words, L words, G words, A words, E words, Z words I'd never even heard. I won't repeat what that thing did to me, what it said to me. At least not today. At least not while the moon's not full. Anyway, I gathered myself and brought myself home, thinking that since I hadn't been harmed physically, I would be able to recover with some talk therapy and maybe a few choice prescriptions as prescribed by my doctor. And time went on, weeks passed. I thought myself recovering quite nicely from the traumatic swearing at. Until one night, the next night, the moon was full. I was feeling strange the whole day. In fact, that night I was to have the first date I'd had in quite a while. I had this lovely young woman at my house. I was making her dinner, and things were going pretty well, I think. I think it was going pretty good. Yeah, it was going pretty good. Anyway, I felt myself strange the whole day. Thinking it to be simple nerves. I didn't think much of it. I figured the nerves would pass as we grew more comfortable together, but eventually the feeling of offness, of off-puttingness, it became too much to bear, and I took myself, absconded to the bathroom to gather my wits. This is as dinner was cooling before preparation, and while in the bathroom something happened, something changed in me, something swelled within me, and I felt myself transforming. Claws emerged from my fingertips, fangs from my gums, fur from every pore of my skin, and I could feel the worst transformation yet, the horrible, foul things bubbling up from underneath my vocal cords. I burst from the bathroom and toward my date, and she, thinking me bringing dinner simply as a date, she turned with eager anticipation only to see a foul, cruel, hideous beast. And oh, the things I said to her, the litany of curses, the foul string of evil words I hurled at her. Oh, it was like a sailor with a stubbed toe, like a teenager alone in a room with a parrot, the horrible swears that emerged from my mouth. And it made my initial attack seem like a children's television program by comparison. I'll never forget the things I said to her, and I doubt she shall either. She fled my house, as I don't blame her, and I haven't left since. I now know what I am, what lurks within me, what I believe now lurks in all men, waiting to be released. I can't risk unleashing it on anyone else, so I must hide myself away forever. For I am a lycanthrope. Bitch, a swearwolf.
Bitch, cut
now and
forever. Suck it. Yeah.
Please remind you, Mr. Green, that I'm not speaking over your speech. I'm speaking over your foul, potty mouth, besmirching this fine station at which children might be looking at this very moment, hearing your words and
What
internalizing
do you mean?
them. This is public access television, Mr. Green, and I don't appreciate your foul cockney mouth besmirching it with so many C words and B words.
They aren't C words and B words.
They are C words and B words and F words and D words. I would appreciate if you would keep them to a minimum as I requested in the beginning of the interview. Now, may I continue? May I continue, Mr. Green? May I continue? It's a disparaging reference to a homosexual.
I don't care.
Which we respect as part of the tapestry that makes our country great. Now, if you could refrain from using that F word, we could continue with the interview. You may not smoke, but if you must refer to a cigarette, please call it a bogey, a bone.
In Britain? Let me tell you what, Mr. Clive Blowing. We don't display the same precision that we display on a Charles Dickens book, you understand me? We don't get Limburger cheese and smash it all away. If you're weighing 16 stone, let me tell you fuckers something. Let me tell you wankers out there something.
F word, W
it's
word.
not an F word, you fucking twat.
Now, all right.
You know that Walt Whitman's writing something.
So we have something of a disagreement that I think may be cultural on what constitutes
It's two
different letter
Beatles
words.
records.
I do recall there's a rather apropos quote by Mr. Winston Churchill
I don't
who said
fucking care
that
about
England
Winston
and America
Churchill.
are two nations divided by a common language, and I think that is coming into effect here.
He was a whap like Thatcher, and Thatcher was a fucking cunt who ruined the country by selling all the stock in his cell creases.
Here in the United States of America, we do not speak ill of the dead. Here in the United States of America, we do not speak ill of the dead, and Mrs. Thatcher is dearly departed from this mortal coil. Now, I would have you refrain from continuing to speak ill of the dead while on the program, Mr. Green. Now, if we may continue with the interview, my second question after why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit is what brings you to America?
What brings me to American culture and American soil is the fact that Britain has lost its head in every fucking way, and it's short all around. It's completely and inexorably driven by the same people who read Charles Dickens for a living.
Now, Mr. Green.
What?
So you've come into the United States because you've had something of a falling out with your native culture.
Yes.
What is it about the British culture specifically that has driven you to its neighbor across the pond?
Britain is terrible.
Okay.
Gloucester is short.
Gloucester, yes.
I'm only 3 years old.
Oh yeah.
I'm only 3 years old.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
3 years old. What do I do? 3 years old. What do I do?
Oh yeah.
Wait a minute. These two little pipe dreamers are getting their little stick. What you got written on that sheet? If you ask me pre-prepared questions,
these
then
are my
you better
notes.
get preordained.
Any responsible interviewer has notes during their interview. These are background notes about you and your background. These are notes from my
It's
producer.
not notes, sir.
These are my notes from the studio.
If you ask the same question to
if-
Kenneth Bronner or Richard
It says
Attenborough,
CTV right on them. These are notes from my producer.
won't you ask me a question off the cuff before you get your cuffs knocked off and you get a pint of copper or silver to your own
All right.
hotel room in the sky?
Now, Mr. Green, here's a question off the cuff. Why don't you stop using such vulgar language like I've asked you repeatedly before
I'm not going to stop using language.
I'm not asking you to stop using language. In fact, you've been here, invited here, specifically to use language, specifically language in response to the language I use to address you. Now, you're using foul language that is not fitting of a family program, and I do not appreciate that. The station does not appreciate that, and the parents at home whose children are watching, looking to be enlightened and not fouled up in their head by such foul language as you're displaying. Now, you think that somebody from England would have a little more respect for the English language and try to say something intelligent for once. Say something intelligent and enlightening about an interesting topic to an interesting person such as myself, but instead, you see fit to badmouth everything using bad language, the worst words you know, C words and T words and D words. Shame on you, Mr. Green. Now, for my third question, what's the favorite thing you've seen in the United States since you've been here? I would appreciate it if you would use good, kind, family language. I will not ask you again. I will not ask you again.
All right. That's brilliant.
Thank you.
Let me tell you a story.
Please.
I was outside getting a little Benson
Alright.
Hedges, spending 20 gil, spending 22 on the same pint, on the same fucking pint. And I'll swear in the same manner. It's a little bird bath in the sky. And nobody knows why the fuck it's going that way. It's so good. It's so raunchy till the stock breaks you in. The economy's getting all shite. It's getting all twisted and beleaguered. You see these beleaguered cities all around, right?
Beleaguered, yes.
That's right.
I do know what
You
beleaguered
ain't no
is, yes.
fake intellectual.
No, I'm the genuine
You
article,
ain't
sir.
no sissy pansy who's been walking around the street looking for spare little pears in the street.
No, sir, I'm a television interviewer.
You ain't no Ricky Gervais knockoff trying to get Rowan Atkinson's number on the side of the billboard skyline.
No, I've never,
No.
no. This is a new segment on the show we're going to call For Pete's Sake. For Pete's sake, will anyone tell me when all these wild turkeys are going to go away? Anytime I go outside, I got a squawking flock of gobbling buffoons looking for snacks, discarded french fries or berries or whatever it is they eat. And speaking of berries, where do I go to get my blackberry fixed in this day and age? Last time I checked, it was still a 21st century. For Pete's sake, when are we going to stop having to hear about football injuries? Seems like every time I turn on ESPN or the Neurobiology channel, everyone's talking about how bad football is for your brain. Well, I played football as a young man, and I don't remember anyone ever getting hurt. In fact, I don't remember anyone getting so hurt they couldn't walk it off. So brain damage, I don't know about that. In fact, I played football as a young man, and I don't remember anybody ever getting hurt. Brain damage, not likely. And another thing, I played football as a young man, and I don't remember anyone ever getting hurt. So brain damage, not as far as I'm concerned. And while we're on the subject of young men, I went to the YMCA recently to use the pool. They said they didn't have one. What is this, Iran? And speaking of Iran, they say they're not trying to develop nuclear weapons, but I don't know about that. If that's the case, where'd they get all that plutonium? And if they did get all that plutonium somewhere, who was it from? I don't know where to get plutonium. I don't even know if plutonium is real. And if plutonium isn't real, well, then Iran's really got some explaining to do because they've got a lot of it as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't know what to do about that. I'm not much of a politics guy, for Pete's sake.